Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. Today, our NFL draft prospect is Mr. Jaylen Waddle out of the University of Alabama. If you like the video today, please comment and share it. Joining me is a young man. He was a scout with the New York Jets from 1997 to 2000 under Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick. He's the author of Whatever It Takes, one of the best sellers on Amazon, and he currently writes for Sports Illustrated covering the Detroit Lions. His name is Mr. Daniel Kelly. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it as we break down this outstanding wide receiver out of the University of Alabama, Mr. Jaylen Waddle, Roll Tide. So Mr. Kelly, tell us what you like about Mr. Waddle at the University of Alabama.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Turner. I still got the smile on my face, and it has nothing to do with the Buccaneers or Tom Brady. Because I tell you what, this guy excites me. I mean, he really excites me. He comes out the national champion, the University of Alabama with Coach Nick Saban, perhaps, well, yeah, absolutely the best coach in the history of college football. This guy, in my opinion, Mr. Turner, is the best pure football player in the National Football League draft coming into this. I love this guy. Even as a freshman, he came in and acted like he was born to play underneath the lights. That's how you know you got a great one. This is a guy who's a playmaker. This is a guy who's a dual role player. He's a guy that can play receiver, and he's a guy that also has value as a punt return specialist. So much so, he's been hailed as one of, if not the best top punt returner in the nation. Again, I can't stress this enough. Extremely instinctual football player. Highlight it, underline it, instinctual. To me, he's not the quickest or fastest when it comes to pure playing speed, but he has deceptive speed that builds. Reminds me that way of a young receiver that used to play for the Minnesota Vikings, Anthony Carter, AC. He can take a short pass and go the distance. This guy has a knack for getting open. This guy has a knack for finding the soft spots and coverages. And something I want to really highlight as well to our listeners and to you, Mr. Turner, his yak. That's right, his yak. YAC, yards after catch. This guy is lethal after the catch. He has the ability to take a punt return with his instincts and take it the distance. He has the ability to take a short pass, a bubble screen route, and go a long ways, if not hit a home run. This guy reminds me in that regard. I'm not saying he's Jerry Rice. I'm not like one of these draft guys that says everybody's the next Joe Montana or the next Bruce Smith. But I will tell you, he reminds me in that way of Jerry Rice. He reminds me of Gary Clark. And he reminds me of John Taylor. Those are three guys that used to have great yak ability. This guy has good hands, good enough hands. The best hands of the draft? I don't believe so. Does he have good hands? Absolutely. Is he going to catch most everything that's thrown his direction? Absolutely. He can navigate through traffic. He's tough. He's not intimidated. He will go through traffic areas. He will run through them, and he'll run through them for routes. And another thing, too, I want to talk about, I want to highlight is his 50-50 ball ability and contested balls when the defensive back is going up for these balls. He has an uncanny ability to jump at the right exact moment. I don't think I've seen a receiver be able to time jumps like this since Randy Moss. I mean, he has that ability to him. He's good at any route level, like I mentioned, short, intermediate, deep. He has a way now about him to be able to get behind the secondary. And it's very deceptive, like I said. But all of a sudden, you see the quarterback drop back and heave a long one. And all of a sudden, there he is. There's Waddle sneaking behind the defense and going the distance. This guy plays with visible passion. He's demonstrative. He plays with some fire, some passion, and he lets everybody in the stadium know that he did it when he hits the end zone and pay dirt. I love this guy. I think very, very highly of him. Can't say enough good things about him. What are your thoughts, Mr. Turner?
I'm going to say this about Mr. Jaylen Waddle. Before he got hurt this year with an ankle injury, everybody was talking about he might be the best receiver in the country. And he played alongside a guy who won the Heisman Trophy, Devontae Smith. But think about his journey. When he got on campus in 2018, he was a very highly rated player, 5-star in the Houston, Texas area. And the thing about it, he came to Alabama when they already had Jerry Jeudy. They already had Henry Ruggs, and they already had Devontae Smith. So you just mentioned he's competitive. What I like about him, I disagree with you a little bit. I think the separation A+. I think a very intelligent football player, A+. And for a guy 5'10", 103, 83 pounds, he's one of the best route runners I see coming into the draft. But what reminds me of another former great Alabama player that was quick, kind of jitterbug, David Palmer, who played on that great national championship team in 92, 93. Same type of player, very explosive. A thing about Mr. Waddle, he's got all the attributes like Tyreek Hill. He can score from anywhere on the field. And he was an outstanding, as you said, return man at Alabama, 733 career yards and return yardage on 38 attempts. But the thing that separates me with Jaylen Waddle is his ability when he's on the field. You got to know where he's at, and he can play in the slot. He can go to jet sweeps. And you know what I always say? I look at players that play in big-time games. Go back to the SEC championship game as a true freshman against Georgia. He put up four receptions, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Then go back to Auburn last year in 2019 when they were struggling in that football game. Matt Jones' second start, he had 3 receptions, 98 yards, but he had a reception about 56 yards when he went down the right sideline and ran away from everybody. And think about this. In the biggest game this season, 2024, he got hurt. He played against number 2 Georgia. And I'm in Metro Atlanta, and all the Dog fans are talking about, row, row, row. We're going to take care of Roll Tide. That evening, 6 receptions, 161 yards against 2 cornerbacks who rated right now in the 2021 NFL draft, and Mr. Tyson Campbell and Eric Stokes, who are rated in the top 20 corners going in the draft nationally. This young man has got all the attributes, and I'm going to sum it up with him. I'm going to give him a nickname, Jetpack. You know how you get some little jetpacks back in the day, and you put that smoke in them and they explode? That's what I'm going to call Mr. Jaylen Waddle, Jetpack. And another thing, when you're talking about NFL comparison, he's got a little bit. I know you heard of this guy. He had a dance called Billy White Shoes Johnson, who's a phenomenal return man in a decent receiver with the Atlanta Falcons. And then I'm going to tell you about another explosive return man who used to do a thing with the Kansas City Chiefs, my man out of Texas A&M, Dante Hall. So he's got those skills tied into one. And I wouldn't be surprised. We got a lot of great receivers coming out in this draft. Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, Rashad Bateman. Man, the list goes on and on. But when it's all said and done, this year at this time, we might be talking about Jaylen Waddle, the best of all them receivers. So Roll Tide. Final words about Mr. Waddle and Mr. Kelly.
Well, you hit it right on the head with all your points there, Mr. Turner. I love how you bring the background and the history into this, because I think that's a big part of the evaluation process. At least it was for the best in the game. You know, this is somebody, you know, the old saying in life, where there's smoke, there's fire. You know, I hear you and I talking about, you know, we're throwing out names, you know, that we've thrown out on this show. And when you do that, you know, the guy's in good company. It's kind of easy math. 2 + 2 equals 4. I think this guy is going to make a huge impact. Hey, if I'm a general manager in the NFL, there's no question he's on my draft board in the top 10, maybe top 5. I think this guy is going to push for Offensive Rookie of the Year in the National Football League. I think he's going to make a huge splash. He's somebody that won't be intimidated. He'll come right into training camp just like he did in college, and he'll step right underneath the lights. I love this guy.
My final words about Jaylen Waddle, I'm going to take you back in time to the late, great Freddie Mercury, lead singer of Queen. And this is what Mr. Jaylen Waddle going to do in the National Football League. We will rock you. Rock you. We will rock you. Jaylen Waddle is going to rock the National Football League in 2021. If you like the video today, please come in and share it. I'm Vincent Turner. Hey, man. And I'm joining with the great talent, Daniel Kelly. Y'all enjoy the week. We are 100 yards of football. We will rock you. Yes, sir, Mr. Kelly.
You got mud on your face, a big disgrace. We're waving that banner all over the place.
We will rock you.
Absolutely.